is walkathon. Millions of Varkaris chant the divine name and end the month-long journey by walk at Pandharpur, the abode of Lord Vithal and his consort Rukmani. Every year on the 11th day of the bright moon in the month of Ashad, a sea of devotees leave behind their luxuries, walk through highs and lows, only to catch just a minute, only to catch uh, a glimpse of their Lord Vithal. The age-old Wari, a tradition of Wari, has continued for the last 1,000 years, what grants it a unique status in the lives of many Varkaris and people. Wari excellently weaves the lessons of management. The 20-day journey is broken into small milestones. Every Varkari walks only certain miles throughout the day. The entire Wari has a pre-planned schedule on halts for this 20-day journey. The Varkari prepares his inner self and gathers the willpower for himself. Wari is the point of immersion of the whole soul into the bhakti of Lord. It teaches us wonderful management lessons in self-management, vision of oneness with supreme power, the habit of beginning with the end in mind, and value-based leadership practices. It is a huge sea of people who are self-disciplined, accountable, and responsible for each other. The Wari creates the economic prosperity of Varkaris by giving them a chance to offer services to the community and thereby giving them self-independence. Walkathon converges at Lord Vithoba's temple, weaving a lot of management lessons to the corporate world. This pilgrimage is experienced by people through their own lens. To complete the circle of life, let us travel together the wonderful journey of Wari, which signs off at the feet of Lord Vithal and Devi Rukmani. And to take us through this journey today, we have with us Mr. Vivek Paranjpe, a well-known speaker and author. Mr. Paranjpe is a strategic advisor and business transformation consultant, life coach, independent director on boards, speaker, trainer, and a mentor. Mr. Vivek has more than 45 years of leadership experience, both in India and abroad. After he returned to India, amongst many other engagements since 2003, he was associated as an advisor on the matters of strategic HR and business transformation to Reliance Industries till March 2019. During this long engagement with Reliance, he also worked as group president and CHRO of the group for more than 5 years. Prior to this, he was with Hewlett Packard for close to 16 years, with last role as director HR for Asia Pacific region based at Singapore. In HP, he held several important positions like Director HR India, Director HR for Southeast Asia, Diversity and Work-Life Director, Asia Pacific region, etc. In his last assignment, he was part of team that was responsible for acquisitions and merger of Compaq Corporation. He started his career with HUL in 1975. He worked in various companies like Johnson & Johnson, ICIM, Hotel Corporation of India, etc. before joining HP. A science graduate with honors from Ferguson College, Pune, and a postgraduate from XLRI Jamshedpur, from where Mr. Vivek passed out in 1975. He was the gold medalist. Mr. Vivek is a recipient of NHRDN President's Award of 2010. He is currently on board of PowerMac Projects Limited as an independent director. He is also on the advisory board of SHRM of Asia and MENA countries. He is on the board of governors of ITM industry. He is also on the curriculum advisory board of KJ Somaiya Institute of Management Studies. For more than 5 years, he has been associated with People Matters magazine as a regular columnist. In the past, he was an independent director of Motilal Oswal Financial Services, chairman of HR Committee of Singapore American Chamber of Commerce. He was also associated with several task forces of Singapore government. He also served as governing body member of IMA. He was on board of NHRDN for a few years. Mr. Vivek for many years was a member of HR committee of the board of directors of Punjab National Bank. He has authored 2 books and was visiting faculty in various business schools like XLRI, IMI, Jawaharlal Bajaj Institute of Management, and SIBM. Sir, uh, floor is yours.
Okay, I was muted. Fine. Thank you so much, Rajesh, for that huge, long introduction. Thank you, Chaya ji, Kavita ji, and Professor Mani for thinking of me for this particular topic. I'm really looking forward to be with all of you. Wari is a very interesting and very close and very dear experience to me, and I'm happy to talk about it anytime. Actually, the thought of discussing and talking today came up when one of those days I was sitting with Kavita ji and we were talking about spiritual and religious experiences. And at that time, I was narrating to her the stories of mine from Wari, and she said, "Why don't we speak about it in one of the BMA sessions?" And that's how it whole thing started. So let's start with, and I'll be showing you a lot of slides. So you'll have to bear with me, and we'll see these slides right now. Okay. So today happens to be also a very important day of Guru Purnima, and this is an important month of Ashad in which the Wari culminates on Ashadi Ekadashi, which happened this week itself. So it's a very auspicious kind of a week, and with Guru Purnima, it becomes doubly so. So let's start this whole session with invocation to the god Lord Ganesha. So let's say Vakratunda Mahakaya Koti Surya Sabhaprabha Nirvignam Kurume Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. So with prayers to the Lord Ganesh, we will start this session. And today being a Guru Purnima day, I think it's very important to say pranam to our gurus. So Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Vyas Maharishi happens to be the head of all the gurus. And so let's do pranams to him. And when we are going to just talk about Wari and Pandharpur, I think it's absolutely important to do chanting, which Varkaris do. So Jai Jai Vitthal, Shri Hari Vitthal. And Pundarika Varde Hari Vitthal, Shri Jnanadeva Tukaram, Pandarinath Maharaj Ki Jai. All of you can say that with me. And let's get on to the Wari. Now, whole thing is that a lot of you may not be knowing about Wari, especially if you are not a Maharashtrian. Generally, most of the Maharashtrians will know exceedingly well about Wari, but those who are not may be completely lost. So it is important that we all come onto the same page. So I'm going to spend first 10-15 minutes talking about Wari, what it is, and so on and so forth, before we get into the management lessons. So let's spend some time talking about Wari. Now, Wari is a concept before which we should know who started it. And there are a whole lot of controversies on that. But if you look at Bhandarkar, the founder of Bhandarkar Institute in Pune, he says that the person who started this concept of Wari was Pundalik. Pundalik was one of those, what you call, bhaktas of Lord Vishnu. And he was at Pandharpur. And at the end of Dwapar Yuga, while Lord Krishna was moving from Kurukshetra back to Dwarka, he decided to stop at Pandharpur to meet his beloved bhakta, which is Pundalik. And when he came to meet Pundalik, Pundalik was doing some seva of his parents. And what he did was he threw a brick and said, "Wait on that brick. I'm doing seva of my parents, which is more important than meeting you." And that's how Lord Krishna ended up standing on that brick, and he continues to stand there because Pundalik didn't have time to meet him and worship him. So that's the way the whole thing started. There is also a reference, and actually this is all about Dwapar Yug, end of Dwapar Yug. So we don't know. There is no concrete proof. But Shankaracharya, that is in the years 700 to 750 Common Era, that's about 14 odd hundred years back, was the first sort of historical figure, if you want to call it, who visited Pandharpur. And he wrote Pandurang Ashtak. Pandurang is the deity of Pandharpur. So he wrote this Pandurang Ashtak. And it is historical that Shankaracharya visited Pandharpur twice. So in a way, he was the first Varkari, if you want to call him Varkari. The first historical evidence about Vari is from Vitthal Pant Kulkarni and his wife Rukmini Bai. These two people, the couple, was the parents of Santa Jnaneshwar. And Santa Jnaneshwar is the person who wrote Jnaneshwari. So these two people were the parents of Jnaneshwar, and it is quoted that they regularly did the Vari. Then the next evidence of Vari is from Santa Jnaneshwar himself. So during the years 1275 to 1296, in that period, Jnaneshwar was the first person who institutionalized the concept of Vari. And what is Vari, I will tell you. Just give me a few minutes. Now, Sant Tukaram, who was one of the major sons of Maharashtra, his father was a Varkari, and he did the Varis for 40 years continuously every year without fail. And he was seventh in the line of the family to do so. So, and Santa Tukaram himself carried forward this tradition in the years 1608 to 1645. And he started carrying himself the Padukas of Jnaneshwar. That's a very interesting part. So he used to be in Dehu, so he would go to Alandi, pick up the Padukas of Jnaneshwar, tie them up with a rope, hang them on his neck, and carry it with him to Jnaneshwar. The whole concept is, if you carry the Paduka or the footwear of this Santa, you are assuming that you are going with that Sant to meet Pundarik or Vitthal. So he used to have 1400 Talkaris, that is Varkaris, with him. His son, in the year 1685, Narayan Maharaj, he did this Varis in a very big way, and he really institutionalized it. And he used to start carrying the Padukas of various other saints also. So in 1835, there was a dispute between the Tukaram Maharaj Trust and the Jnaneshwar Maharaj Trust. That is Dehu and Alandi, both of them are in Pune district. And because of that dispute between the two trusts, the palkis separated. And so you started getting two separate palki processions of Pandharpur to Pandharpur, of Tukaram as well as Jnaneshwar. And of course, when you talk to these Varkaris and senior people in that Pratishthan, you will hear that this was all engineered by British with the thought of divide and rule. So they created a division between the Tukaram and the Jnaneshwar trusts and split the Hindus into two. And that's the story that is being told to you. Now, nobody knows what is the truth, but fact is that today we have each saint has its own Vari going there. Now, the modern day Vari is a Vari that was created by, was created by a army general called Haibat Baba Pawar. Haibat Baba Pawar Arfalkar was a major creator of today's Vari as it is seen. He was the Senapati of Gwalior Scindias. And he was returning back from Scindia or from Gwalior to Maharashtra for some personal family reasons. And that's where some dacoits caught him and they put him in the one of the caves, and they looted him completely. Now, Haibat Baba was sure that he's going to die because he was put into that cave and he had nowhere to go. So he started praying for Vitthal, that is the Pandharpur's deity. And while he was praying, something interesting happened. The head of the dacoit was having his wife was carrying and delivering a baby, and she delivered a baby boy. And after a very, very long period, he got a baby boy. And he thought that this was the time to become generous. And he released Haibat Baba Pawar, saying that because of your presence in my community, I got the baby boy and so on and so forth. So I'm releasing you. So Haibat Baba Pawar, who was an ex-army general and who was a devotee of Vittal and also the Jnaneshwar, decided to return to come to Alandi and settle down. He really settled down at Alandi, and he's the person who created the modern day Pandharpur Wari concept as it exists today. And that was all in the period 1835. And that was the time British East India Company existed. Now, on the Samsthan, which was one of the samsthans at that point of time, helped Haibat Baba Pawar a lot by sending him some money and elephants and whole lot of other materials to make sure that these waris are properly organized. But somewhere at a later period, some samsthans stopped helping, but there is a family of Sardar Shitoles who started the help, and they continue helping Pandharpur Wari even today. So you'll find that more than 100 years have passed by. Actually, close to 150 years have passed by, and Sardar Shitole's families still help management of this wari. And Haibat Baba Pawar's descendants, they continue to own the wari and they continue to manage the wari. So it's a very interesting tradition which is going on for now more than 150 years. Haibat Baba, that is this general of the army, he organized all the dindis in a military style. And we will talk about this military style management in next 5 minutes time. So give me those 5 minutes. Something interesting happened in the earlier part of 1917. Mama Sahib Dandekar and Jog Maharaj, both the Pune residents, they got involved into Wari and they were very much interested. And along with the help of Maruti Baba Guru and Lakshman Goa and Bankat Swami, they created a very important institution called Warkari Shikshan Samstha in 1917. And this Warkari Shikshan Samstha ensures that all the Warkaris are well trained and managed. So you will find a whole lot of concepts of managements are woven into this whole history. It starts with the disciplined approach of military. Then it starts with the educational aspect of the Warkaris through this particular Warkari Shikshan Sanstha. There are several other contributors, and that list will be unending. Another very interesting thing I think we should all know that Vitthal temple was restricted for entry for untouchables. That's an unfortunate part, and that continued till 1946. In 1946, for the first time, it was opened for everybody because of the Satyagraha done by Sane Guruji. So Sane Guruji was another huge, big social reformer of Maharashtra. And in somewhere in 1946, he did a major Satyagraha lasting several weeks in Pandharpur. And as a result of that, the Pandharpur Devasthan opened up and started allowing untouchables to enter. So you will figure it out that till that time, all the Warkaris who went to Pandharpur could not enter the temple. That's the interesting part. So what did they do when they go there? They went to Krishna River, they took bath, and they looked at the colors of the temple, and that was it. They did not enter the temple because untouchables were not allowed to enter, and there were a whole lot of saints and a whole lot of Warkaris who were probably untouchables. And as a result of that, by and large, the Warkaris did not go into the temple. So that's another very interesting aspect that we got to keep in mind. Now, this entire Pandharpur Wari is part of the Bhakti Marga Parampara. So people like me who are also Bhakti Margis. So it's all about Bhakti Marga Parampara, and we'll talk about it in next 1 hour, much more. The two major saints who are responsible for this Pandharpur Varis, and that is Dhaneshwar and Tukaram. And we'll be talking constantly about Dhaneshwar Vari because I went with Dhaneshwar Vari. So I'm much more familiar with Dhaneshwar Vari. And this is the picture of the army general who institutionalized it. That is Haibat Baba Pawar Harfalkar. There's some terms that I'll be using constantly, and these terms I think one should get familiar with. Terms like Vari. Now, concept, I'm sure all of you will be questioning what the heck is Vari. And Vari is going out. And this on a particular day for meal. So if I was in, let's say, Mumbai, studying, coming from Konkan area, I would attach myself to 7 houses and would have meal on 7 days to those in those 7 houses, and I'll be a Varkari. That's why I'm going up and down between one house to another house. So that also is known as Varkaris. So in this case, in our case, the Varkaris are those people who go to Pandharpur for the Vittal Darshan. Then there is a concept called Dindi, and we'll be using this term Dindi very often. This Dindi is nothing but a group of Varkaris or group of those who are visiting Pandharpur temple, and they organize themselves into a one unit, and as a unit they start, and as a unit they reach Pandharpur. And that unit or a gang or a group or a team is called Dindi. Dindi also has other meanings. Dindi is also the name of a small door, which is in big door. So Dindi Darwaja is a term that is in Maharashtra very common. So this Dindi is a small door to heaven. And so when you are in a Dindi and go to Pandharpur Vari, it's a path to the heaven. So that's also another assumption. Another term that you'll be hearing often is Bharud. Now, Bharud is a particular method of singing, or it's a particular method of songs, and it was popularized by Sant Eknath. Now, these are all double meaning songs, and these double meaning songs, one meaning is general purpose meaning for anybody and everybody to understand. But however, there is a deep spiritual meaning behind everything that happens in that song. And this is called Bharud. And this Bharud is a very powerful method of education amongst the rural Maharashtra. Then there is a concept called Vinekari that we'll be hearing, and Vinekari has nothing but people who carry Veena and play music. Then there is a Pataka Dharis, and these Pataka Dharis are the people who carry the flag. So these are the Vaishnav flag, which is a saffron flag they carry. Talkaris are the people who play tals, and I'll show you their pictures and you will understand what is tal. Mridanga Vadaks obviously are the people who play Mridanga. Then there are Tulsi and water women, and that is these women who carry a Tulsi plant on their head or a jar of water on their head. And Mauli is a concept that we will hear constantly. When you are part of a Dindi, you are addressed as Mauli. You don't have a name at that point of time, and we'll talk in more details about Mauli later. So let's understand what are the characteristics of a Varkari. Now, characteristics of Varkari are something like this. Varkari is a person who regularly visits Pandharpur on Shuddha Ekadashi day, either in the months of Ashad, Kartik, Magh, or Chaitra, of which Ashad is the most important and Kartik is the second most important. Magh and Chaitra is optional, but these are the 4 months within which if a person visits on a very regular basis Pandharpur and takes darshana of Vittal, he is known as Varkari. That means that you and me can paratroop ourselves on Pandharpur in the month of Ekadashi, in the month of Ashadi Ekadashi, and we will be deemed as still Varkaris. Varkari does not have to go in the Dindi along with those millions of people. Varkari can be any one of us who can sort of just paratroop, as I mentioned to you, at Pandharpur on an Ashadi Ekadashi or a Kartiki Ekadashi day. So Varkaris can come from any place, from any route. So that is something I think we all need to understand. Varkari is a person who wears a Tulsi Mala. Tulsi Mala is a very favorite Mala of Vishnu. So every Varkari wears a Tulsi Mala. And you will, if you connect yourself with ISKCON movement, you'll find all the ISKCON saints and all the followers in ISKCON also wear Tulsi Mala. In fact, if you want to buy a good Tulsi Mala, go to ISKCON temple. And that's where in the shop you'll be able to buy Tulsi Mala. Because that's a favorite of Vishnu. And ISKCONians are all followers of Lord Krishna. Then all the Varkaris will be wearing Gopi Chandan, Teda and Mudra. And you will see a lot of pictures of that as we move forward. They are all Vaishnavites. They address each other as Mauli and known to each other by their name Mauli only and nothing else, and the name of the Dindi. They all do this Jnano Mauli Tukaram Gazar or chanting on a regular basis. They sing Haripat every day. And Varkari is expected to have conquered Shadharipus with Kam, Krodha, Mada, Matsara, Moha, and Maya. So that is what they have hopefully conquered. Now, these are all Bhakti Margis. These are all Vaishnavites. All of them do practice on a regular basis. In fact, they practice round the year on at least once in a week basis, wherever they may be. So in thousands of villages across Maharashtra, you will find Varkaris getting together in some or other temple, and they will be singing various bhajans, kirtans, and there will be stories, and there will be a whole lot of interesting things happening. In fact, I live in Baikala area, and near our house, there is a 150 odd years old Vitthal temple in Mumbai. You'll be surprised. And in that Vitthal temple, you will find at least once in a week, all Varkaris of this area getting together and sort of coaching each other and doing this singing and kirtans, etc. So it's a regular activity. It is not a once in a year activity. That is something which we got to keep in mind. You can't say I'm a bhakta only for 10 days of the year and balance 360 days I am not a bhakta. So this bhakti marg is something which is practiced on a regular basis. So that's the basic part of the Varkari sampradaya. Then let's look at how does it look like today? And I think that is something which is absolutely important. So as I mentioned to you, there are two main saints. One is Tukaram, who comes from Dehu, and you will find here Dehu. And he comes, so Dehu is the place where you will find the Tukaram temple and Tukaram Padukas, and Paduka represent Tukaram. So the followers of Tukaram will carry Tukaram's Paduka from Dehu and go right up to Pandharpur through this route. While at Anand is the headquarter for the Jnaneshwar Padukas, and from here, the Jnaneshwar's followers will carry these Padukas from Anandi and go up to Pandharpur. So you will find that Pune is one meeting ground on the very first day of the Wari. That's where both the Palkis come together. And then Vakhari is one place which is a few kilometers away from Pandharpur. That's where they meet again last. And then they enter Pandharpur together. And then they do the village pradakshina, etc. of Pandharpur. Now, during this entire period of about 21 days, a lot of other Palkis joined them. And these Palkis are of various saints from across Maharashtra. And they join either from this side or from this side.
I know you, sir.
Can you put everybody on mute?
Okay, I'll reduce my voice.
Okay. So these various palkis joined this major stuff. So when I went there, we were about 3.5 lakh people in Nyaneshwar Palki and about 3.5, 4 lakhs people in the Tukaram Palki. And when we assembled together at the Wakad, we were about 7 odd lakhs. But today the number has fallen to close to about 12 lakhs. So you'll find about 12 lakh people walking towards Pandharpur, starting from these two locations and so many other people from different streams joining them. So that's the kind of magnitude of this whole Pandharpur Wari. So let's move on. This is just a illustrative of what happens, but we'll just move to other part. So the current management structure, again, I was traveling with them, I was traveling not as a Bhakti Margi only, but also as a management student. So I started saying, what is the organization structure and design like of this whole Pandharpur Yatra? And this is the organization structure that I understood exists in today's modern day Yatra. There is a Nyaneshwar Maharaj Sansthan Committee. This is like a board of directors present at Alandi. And this committee is the one which manages the whole stuff. So this is like a board of directors. Now this board of directors has one Panch committee, which was initially appointed by East India Company. And you will find that whole lot of Hindu temples and Hindu religious organizations are having government intervention and government management. And that is mainly started with British India. So to make sure that they control India also through the religious routes. So they appointed this Pancha committee, East India Company appointed it, and this Pancha committee became part of Nyaneshwar Maharaj Sansthan Committee. So these are the 5 appointees of the government today, and that tradition continues. So we became independent India, but we continued with British India traditions, and we never changed it. So you will find that Panch committee is from our government nominees on Nyaneshwar Maharaj Trust. Then this Bala Saheb Pawar is the current descendant of the original Pawar who started this whole tradition of Waris. So his son is now the current owner of the trust. So you'll find like a corporation, there's an owner. These are Ambanis or Goenkas or whoever is the owner. Then there is a board of directors, which is Nyaneshwar Maharaj Sansthan Committee, which has 5 nominees from the government. You can call them independent director or government nominees. Then there is a person by name Chopdar. So Chopdar is like a managing director of the company. So he is kind of a person who is a commander-in-chief of the whole procession, and he ensures that the whole procession is managed in a particular appropriate way. And that's how the whole management works. And rules, regulations, and all that are very clear. And I'll talk more about it as we move. But you'll find this picture. There's a very interesting play happening here. There's a central one Varkari playing with the 2 children. And these are the kind of training. Again, these are all traditional games played since more than 200 years. And they are all trained by the educational institutions that have been created by Mama Saheb Dandekar in Alandi. This is how a typical Pandharpur Wari looks like. And you will find this is the picture that I have drawn just to make sure that we understand it well. So this is almost a 6-lane road that starts from Alandi and goes right up to Pandharpur. And on this 6-lane road, you will find that it's converted into a one-way street on the left side, wherein the Wari goes, and on the right side, it's a one-way traffic. So only half the road is made available for the Wari, and other half is made available for the trucks and the supplies of the Wari. So you'll find that vehicular movement happens where I have written one-way traffic, and otherwise it's all dindis. Dindis, as I mentioned to you, are the groups of Varkaris. There is a rath in which the padukas are kept. The very front is Nagarkhana, wherein these Nagaras are kept, and that's a special vehicle, and I'll show you the pictures of that. And in the front, there are 28 dindis. And this 28 dindis in the front, and it's all predetermined for last hundreds of years. There is no dispute, there is no challenge, and there is no question. And final decision, if at all changes have to be made, is that of the Sobdar, which is like a managing director of this whole organization. And so you have to follow the discipline, and you follow in this particular line only. And then behind there are dindis. So you'll find that you are part of some dindi. So I was part of a dindi number 4, Ratha Cha Pure. That means in the front of the Rath, 4th dindi. That was my identity. So I have a Varkari from 4th dindi in the front of the thing. So that's all predetermined. And there is no challenging, there is no questioning on that. That's how things happen. Then you will find this yellow line that have a big brand that have created, which is a continuously moving bazaar and restaurants, and which is 7 to 10 kilometers long. You'll be surprised. It's a 10 kilometers long market, because in this dindi there are about 3.5 lakh people walking. So from the end to end, the length of that Pandharpur Yatra is 7 to 10 kilometers. Now, along this 7 to 10 kilometers route, there is a 7 to 10 kilometers long bazaar and restaurants on the left-hand side. And how it works is, as the things move, the people at the back get into the truck, move their truck in the front, and set up their shops in the front. So if you have seen a particular shop in the morning at 7 o'clock, you will see the same shop on your left side after about 2 hours or 3 hours on that left side. Because that shop, after serving, has got into the truck, moved in the front, and set up shop again. So you will see the same shopkeeper at least 3 to 4 times, well-established shops. That's a beautifully organized, institutionalized process. And that is something which we all need to appreciate and understand and admire. That institutionalization of the highest order has happened here, and everything works as per a military discipline set up by Army General Pawar. And that's how it works. And nothing has changed since last more than 200 years. Now, in a particular company or in a particular dindi, things is organized in a particular fashion. And that is, it's a 4 people in one row. So you'll find in the very front, in the red, you will find this patakadharis. That is the people who carry the saffron flags. And the saffron flag holders move in the very front. After that, there are 2 women, one carrying tulsi and one carrying the water gajar. And all the yellow fellows that I have shown are the male Varkaris, and they are 4 in a row. And number of people in a particular dindi can be 200 to 1,000, depending on how old that dindi is and how popular that dindi is. At the end of this men's team is one Vinekari and one Mridungavadak. And you'll be surprised that the head of this whole dindi is one of the yellow guys somewhere, or one of the blue women somewhere. They are not distinctly kept aside. They are part of the dindi. And there is a chopdar who walks on the side and ensures that these 200 people are disciplined. And he moves around with a stick and make sure that everything is disciplined kind of an activity. Let's see how things look like. Now you'll see a lot of pictures. My talking is less now and pictures are more. You'll find this is the Rath, which has been created by this Sansthan. And this Rath is sitting on a bullock cart. And in this Rath, the Palki goes. This is how it looks like. This is the very front Nagara, which is continuously beating Nagara. So this is the front of the whole dindi. And this Wari starts with this Nagaras. So as it is entering a village or entering a town or entering wherever, it starts with Nagara. So everybody is aware that Wari is coming in. And now after it enters, 7 to 10 kilometers long procession will be there. So you got to keep aside and give way to this whole stuff. So this is how the whole Nagara starts. This is a typical Palki picture with the Padukas you will find here. So this is a Naneshwar Mauli's Paduka, and this Paduka represent Naneshwar Mauli. This is a typical group of Varkaris, and this is a picture of the Dindi that I was part of. Now you will see this is discipline. Nothing better than army discipline. You'll find that this is the disciplined crowd which is walking. So this whole procession is about 7 to 10 kilometers long. And you will find these trucks, these scooter walas that you see, they are not random people. They are the people who are enforcing discipline by the chief Chobdar. And they will drive by each dindi. And if they see anything wrong, that dindi will be disciplined. And the dindi may also lose the recognition. So people are, if I use the slang word, shit scared of these scooter walas and car walas, because they are the discipline enforcer of the Pandharpur Devasthan. This red fellow that you see with the danda, he is the Chobdar. So he's a Chobdar of that particular dindi. And he's ensuring that everybody follows the line and they walk in those 4 lanes and so on and so forth. Now, these people that you see outside the dindi walking, they are not part of the organized dindi. They are those freelancers. So they cannot be disciplined. They can be anyone and everyone. On the left-hand side, you will find a picture of Vinekari, the guy who's playing Veena and helping the bhajan groups. On the right-hand side, this fellow is the, what you call the Chobdar. So a typical day, how does it start? A typical day in a Wari, all this 3.5 lakhs, 7.5 lakhs, whatever numbers, today it's close to 6 lakhs people in each side. They start at about 4ish in the morning. So at about 4 o'clock, all these people are awake wherever they are. And where are they? They are staying in some odd places. Like this is a picture of a temple in one of the halls that we got. So we were part of the team who occupied the temple and we were sleeping in the temple for the night. But we are up at 4 in the morning. At 4 o'clock sharp, you are up. And why you have to be up at 4? Because the yatra starts at 6 or 6:30 in the morning. In some locations, it starts at 6, some it starts at 6:30. And before it is dark, you have to finish your morning rituals because it's dark, so nobody can see you. So you go for your excretion somewhere in their fields, and a whole lot of women and men who go together. So it has to be dark. Then they take bath, and to take bath again in open field, there are a whole lot of tankers which are planned by the dindi that you are part of. So you take bath at near the tanker, from the tanker water, change your clothes, wash your clothes, come back to your staying place like this temple, and get ready and have your cup of tea. And that is tea made by the dindi management. So the first food or whatever that intake that you have is that hot tea in a stainless steel glass. And you start your day by about 6, you are ready to go. This is a school, some primary school in one of the villages that we got to leave. So I would be one of these guys staying there. So you will stay there in the night. So its living conditions are horrific. This is like a 3-star setup for the Varkaris. Otherwise, you can also be staying in tents like this. So it all depends on how lucky you are and how resourceful your dindi management is. Because if they would have gone earlier and done all the bookings correctly, you would get this kind of stays. This was the dindi that I was part of. So this is my identity, Shedge Panch Mandali Dindi Kramank 4, Rathaburi. So I was known as Mauli of Shedge Panch Mandali Dindi Kramank 4, Rathaburi. So that's your identity. These are the Pataka Dharis, and you will see myself in the goggles. So I am one of those Varkaris, this fellow. It's me holding the Pataka and walking. And so you do that for a few hours, and then somebody comes and relieves you, and so on and so forth. This is the breakfast time. Now, what happens is the Varkaris are given some food by their families. Like my wife gave me some savories packed up. These people have brought something, some old yesterday night's chapatis left over. So the Dindi management will distribute those chapatis to you. So what you have for breakfast, that is maybe around 8:30, quarter to 9, there'll be first stop wherever there is a water body. And it's all predetermined stops. So you sit down there, you eat those yesterday's chapatis, whatever your wife would have given you, you eat that. Or there are a whole lot of restaurants on the left-hand side of yours. So you buy whatever you want, and that's how you eat. And that's how you start your day. And you have your cup of tea. So I was also part of this team for those 21 days. This is the lunch time. Now, lunch, if you are lucky and if there is no rain on that day, you get to sit like this in a disciplined fashion. If there is a rain, you obviously can't get to sit like this. Then you are wearing your irla, that is a plastic cover on your head, standing somewhere under a tree and eating. And that's where the lunch is served. This lunch is made by the Dindi Samsthan, whichever Dindi that you are part of, and it is served to you. So we become volunteers. So first pangat I could be serving, second pangat somebody else could be serving. So you are eating as well as serving. So it's all you do this voluntary work. These are the cooks with you who are making these big chapatis, and you eat these chapatis. Normally, what you get for lunch or dinner is the vegetables that are locally available, and there are not many places they are available, because you suddenly will find 3.5 lakh, 4 lakh people wanting to eat, and that small village is unable to provide you vegetables. So if vegetables are not available, you end up eating usal, for which they have grains with them, or you end up eating pitla, which is a typical Maharashtrian food made up of besan. So you end up eating pitla or usal or some vegetables and these chapatis. This becomes the standard kind of a meal for lunch as well as dinner. Again, this is the Pandharpur. Now, when you enter a small village and that village lanes are very thin, obviously the file in which you are walking breaks. So, like for example, this is me. Somebody has taken my photo. So we are entered a village. Tea time. So what happens is during the day, you want to have a cup of tea on the way. So what you do is you take permission of the chowkidar, and you come out of the dindi, walk in the front or stay back, but this entire procession is exceedingly slow activity. It walks for almost 8 to 10 hours and covers hardly about 10 to 12 kilometers. So it's a very slow walking procession. So it's very easy for you to come out of your dindi, go in the front or go in the back, sit in one of the restaurants like this and have your cup of tea. So this is me sitting and having cup of tea. Plus, at least 5-6 locations, there are resting spots where the water bodies exist. So again, these resting spots, people are sitting and taking rest. And everything that I'm talking is predetermined. It is as per a timetable and a calendar, and the spots are predetermined, and they have been predetermined for last 100 years. So next year you will find Bari again under the same tree and same place. There will be a stop. There is no discussion and there is no change. Everything is predetermined. These are the two friends of mine, they are colleagues of mine from Reliance. They also were with me for a few, days, and they were resting like this in the open field. People are resting under the truck, especially when there is a rain or sun. This is the end of the day, and that is something which I want to spend time on. and let me explain to you the concept behind it, and let's understand it clearly. Now, in this picture, you will be seeing minimum 4 to 5 lakh people. And I obviously cannot capture anything more than that, but there'll be 4 to 5 lakh people in this picture or in this place. And this happens every day in the evening. And this is called Tar. Tar is the Vimantar, as we call it, the stop or the end place of that particular day. And this is the end place of that particular day. And this Tar would have these people who are sitting in the middle are all the villagers in and around that place. For example, at Lonan, if say we are saying this is the last day of that day, then this will be a minimum about 20-25 acres land, which is allotted for this purpose by some rich man some 50-100 years back. And that land is owned by Devasthan, and that land is preserved for Tar once in a year whenever the Wari comes. So these are all those villagers from nearby villages. They come and witness how things happen. Now, around these villagers, you will find that these people who are standing all around, they are in a circle. These are all the Warkaris in different dindis. So we are all organized. Everything is organized. So your Dindi Karmang 1, Dindi Karmang 2, they're all positions predetermined, and you go and stand in that circle. So all the Warkaris stand while these are the people, villagers who sit. And I'm going to tell you something very interesting that happens. This is the palki which was on the bullock cart or on that rath. This comes out, and these are the people who are carrying. This is the man or sanman to carry that palki given to the villagers. So that village sarpanch is allowed to decide who from the village will carry this palki and take it in the center of that crowd. So it is the villagers who are involved. So you'll find that village is a stakeholder, and that stakeholder village is given the predominant importance of determining who are the mankaris of that day. And these are the people who carry it, and they take it in the center, and there's a stage created in the center, and this palki is kept on that stage. So this is all planned, disciplined by the local sarpanch, and he decides it. Having done that, then what happens is very interesting on that day, and I thought I must share with you what happens on that day. It's a commotion in a way, because there are a whole lot of villagers sitting in the center, and there are a whole lot of Warkaris standing in the circle around, and it's a total crowd of 4 to 5 lakhs in today's context. The Chopdar, he enters the center near this rath, stands on the stage, and pulls his lathi up. As soon as his lathi goes up, you'll be surprised. It's a pin drop silence. And in fact, that is in Marathi called Talavarchi Shantata. And that is unbearable Shantata. Because just imagine, you are sitting, you are with about 4 odd lakhs people, and there is a pin drop silence. And that pin drop silence is something which lasts for a few minutes, 1 or 2 or 3 minutes. And after that is over and everybody is peaceful and everybody is silent, the Chopdar, he then says, time for you to talk. He announces it. And talking is, nobody talks actually. It is a grievance redressal system. So that's the time when, if a particular Dindi has a grievance against Chopdar himself, saying that you punished me or you did not allow me to do this or whatever, or my number slipped from 4 to 5 or whatever. So if my Dindi has a problem, my Dindi is not supposed to shout, scream and yell. My Dindi is supposed to start chanting Ramakrishna Hari, Jai Jai Ramakrishna Hari, something like that. So we all start chanting, and we chant for half a minute, 1 minute, and then the Chopdar knows that this Dindi has a problem. So he comes to that Dindi, talks to Dindi Pramukh, understands what's the problem, and resolves the problem then and there on the spot. After that is over, some other Dindi starts weeping, and that is, again, they start chanting. So this chanting happens, and that continues for 10-15 minutes. When everybody's grievances are resolved and solved, then the evening's function is over, and then everybody is allowed to go home. So you'll find that evening is a grievance redressal system with total silence in the presence of the villagers. So villagers know what's happening. Then this is also an opportunity to announce lost and found stuff. So if anybody's lost wallets or mobiles or children or whatever, so all that lost and found thing happens. So the Chowkidar team does this announcements. Generally, everybody comes to the same level playing field, and then everybody is dispersed to their own Dindi residences in the night. For example, we would go to that temple or school, wherever we might have it booked, and then we stay there. So that's how things happen. So service is on the way, and there's a huge lesson of entrepreneurship that all of us can learn. As I mentioned to you, on the left-hand side, there is a whole lot of moving market, which is moving from one end to another end on a constant basis. And this moving market takes care of all the needs that exists for the Varkaris. So you'll find that there's a Honda engine, and what he's doing is charging with the help of that engine a whole lot of phones. So if my phone needs to be charged, I just go to him, wait there for 10 minutes, get it charged, pay him 10 rupees or whatever, and then move on. So this is the guy who is stitching the shoes, chappal wala mochi. Plenty of them, because a whole lot of people are wearing chappals, and a lot of these chappals get broken and they all need to be repaired. So you'll find these entrepreneurs. This is press wala, because you wash your clothes in the morning and you are carrying those wet clothes on your back. You are drying them while you are walking. Then you want to get them ironed so that they are dry completely. Ironing is not for show, more for drying. So that happens, and then you move on. Then you'll find these streets, jalebi wala and bhajia wala and pakode walas, because that's where you end up eating a lot. This is a restaurant or a tea stall, as you might like to call it. These are the restaurants on continuous move. So huge business happens here. You'll find his husband and wife running this place. So family units work together. So women, men, they all work together and they run these restaurants. And one beautiful thing that you will find in this Varis is men and women are treated equally. You'll find a whole lot of places are run by women themselves also. In fact, women are running the show in many cases. In many Dindis are managed and run by women. So that's pretty normal. These are the tourists. These are the people who are not part of the regular Varkaris or Dindi. They just join in for a day or so. They walk with you from one village to another village, and then they go back to their own towns. But they are tourists who come and join you for a day or two. Some fun on the way, because again, this is a great lesson in management that we learn, that you can't simply do work, work and work. You got to have a lot of fun. So this is the Gold Ringan. Gold Ringan is a very popular and a famous thing amongst the Pandharpur Varkaris, and that happens twice in that period of 20 days. And again, it's a very planned activity. It's in a well-determined, predetermined place, and everybody stands in a round circle, and you'll find this stage in the middle wherein the palki is kept, and here a lot of people run around it and so on and so forth. And I also been part of it. When you run in that ringan, then you'll see women running and they're playing. Then the horses, that two horses that go with it, they run and so on and so forth. This is that Pataka Dhari horse which runs in that Gold Ringan. This Sardar Shitole's Jari Patka Ghoda. These are the women who are running. So aerial view, this is not picture taken by me, but it's aerial view taken by somebody. These are the Vinaykaris of all the Dindis who have to come in and sing and stand in between. And this is the Ubhe Ringan, and that is standing straight on the road. And these are the create a passage in between, and in this passage the horses run. So this is the Rangoli done by people within few seconds. You'll be surprised. 7 kilometers long, Rangoli done by few minutes or seconds. And horses run on this. Look, horsewala running, dekho. And people like us who are on both the sides will sing and jump and dance. On at resting place, those who are able to read Marathi can enjoy this mistakes here. Shaving wala, you got to clean up yourself, shave. This is a restaurant by name Lai Bhari. So they're selling some food. The freelancer from Tukaram Palkia is spotted. He was just like that. Some fun within that own dindi. These women dancing and singing and moving around in that circle. Again, part of this very common sights. This fun is an integral part of the Wari. And I think that is something which we should allow even in the corporate offices. And that's how they are committed and then dedication happens. And there's a lot of learning that happens. Work hard, play hard is the motto of this particular groups. Okay, let's spend some time about social education. This Dindi is not simply Bhakti Marga, but it is all about social education. And that social education happens in a big way. And this is a Bharud singer who is part of some Dindi and is singing Bharuds for his Dindi in the morning at the time of resting. So you'll find that it is not resting for the sake of resting. It is a resting with a purpose. And that purpose is you are resting and you are also getting a good education through this Bharud singing that's happening. And as I mentioned to you, Eknath Maharaj was the first guy who created these Bharuds. And 400 odd Bharuds are written by him. Plus modern day people have written many Bharuds. So a lot of Bharud singing happens. And people like him are singing and educating people. There's another Bharud in progress in another Dindi. And I was moving around across and taking pictures and understanding the whole concept. That's how it happens. There's some village on the road wherein that some repair workshop existed on the roadside, and he created this whole bhajan mandal from that village. And these ladies are singing, and you can stand there and listen to the bhajans and join them for a while. This is a Pune University students Bharud group. In fact, when I was traveling, Pune University students were with us, and they were not with us throughout 21 days, but they were with us for a few days, and they would stop at every resting place and they would sing Bharuds. So he's some student of Pune University singing Bharud. This is some Rajmata Jisao group portion man. That's what they're at the truck, and they create a stage like this and they sing Bharuds, and they do a lot of education for the people. One more Bharud. This is very normal. These are all Anganwadi women. They're very interesting. You'll find them, they were all in a uniform, like this pink saris and yellow saris. So these women from Anganwadi, you'll find they were wearing this headbands. And these headbands had all kinds of slogans. And while they were walking along with us, they would talk to us and give us different messages and teach us on importance of bringing up children in a proper way, hygiene and health and so on and so forth. So a whole lot of 7 odd lakhs people were constantly getting educated by these Anganwadi girls. Now I wanted to take pictures of their headbands because these headbands had interesting messages, but it was tough to go to a woman and start taking pictures of his head. She would get angry, saying that, why am I taking those pictures? So I kept myself away, but to a few women I requested that allow me to take pictures of your headband. So look at this, Panduranga Chi Pavitra Tulas, Mulki Sonatsa, something like that. Very interesting. So again, a lot of education happens through these people, like Garbajal Parikshit. Sex determination is wrong. These are some school boys of some local school who joined us between one village to another village. And they were carrying a whole lot of educational, environmental protection kind of placards with them. So a lot of social education happens. So you'll find one of the reasons why your peace and stability in the society is huge education happening through the Santa Parampara and through this Varkari Parampara that exists in Maharashtra. Look at this. This is my most favorite placard. जन्म देण्यासाठी आई हवी, लग्नासाठी बायको हवी, ओवाळायला बहीण हवी, मग मुलगी का नको. So don't kill women and allow them. मुली वाचवा, उद्याची आई वाचवा, देश वाचवा. Beautiful educational puddings. So you will find that social education is an integral part of Pandharpur Yatra, without which Pandharpur Yatra cannot happen. Now, some lessons in management. I've been talking about whole lot of stuff. Now, let me summarize all the lessons in management in next 5 minutes, and then we will go to some spiritual lessons. Well-defined organization structure, as I mentioned to you, exists with roles and regulations, responsibilities very well defined. So that becomes an important learning that I picked up, and it's happened. It is decided more than 200 years back. So the modern management is not something that you and me have learned from United States. It existed in India. And I think that is something which you should be aware of and become proud of. There's a common purpose, shared vision, total involvement with passion amongst all the Varkaris. So if there are 12 lakh Varkaris going, they all have a common vision. They all have a common purpose. They are fully involved into discipline. So there is no one outsider who's coming and teaching you. This common code of conduct enforced through norms, songs, and stories. Very important. And that you are seeing happening in India for last 200 years in this Purvaris. Culture is institutionalized through symbols, rituals, processes, discipline, consistent application, governance, as I mentioned to you, audits, inspections. I have shown you the inspectors traveling on continuously on the Wari side and taking disciplinary action. A lot of dindis get de-recognized, new dindis get added, and so on and so forth. So people are sacked, there's a disciplinary action, all that happens. Recognition, de-recognition, and complete transparency, because everything happens in that turn in the evening. So it is not something which happens as a secret. So it's everything is in a disciplined fashion. So it's an outstanding school of management, if you ask me, the entire Pandharpur Wari. All stakeholders are fully involved. Villages on the way are fully integrated and are supportive. As I mentioned to you, the man in the evening is given to the place where there is a final turn. There are those yatras in the villages that we are passing by. Government and local bodies are fully involved. All deities are fully aligned to the committees and are committed, and a sense of ownership exists. So that's a beautiful part. All stakeholders are involved. There's a lot of fun on the way, and education is an integral part of the ethos. I think that is something which we need to understand. Diversity and inclusion is fully there. The group of recognized, unrecognized deities, the vacationers, the tourists, all kinds of people are walking together, traveling together. People from all possible religions, castes, and social strata are involved. And the whole lot of Muslims, Christians, everybody is with this group. Feedback mechanism exists, mobile market, supply chain, and rural marketing exists. It's a well-regulated capitalist society with a common purpose. That is something which is admirable. And there's a continuous training and year-long practice of Varkaris who keep the traditions alive. And this year-long practice is absolutely important and a must. And every new Varkari goes through the little education. So education, training, everything is part of this whole stuff. The spiritual part, and I think I have to speak about spiritual part for 10 minutes, because you really didn't go there only for management education. You went there for even spiritual part. In fact, that was the main purpose of the whole stuff. So it is part of your bhakti marg that you went and participated. Now, of course, your education happens only if you have an open mind and you are willing to talk to people. And let me start with some experiences and examples of this. This happened to me on the very second day. We had left Pune, and in the night, I discovered my entire body had white boils across. like as if koi jal jata hai na, you get those white boils. My entire body, I could see from the front and back, was covered with white boils. And I didn't know whether I'll be able to continue, because if they start bursting and if there's a pus and so on and so forth, I'll be in deep trouble. I couldn't wear the shirt because my whole body was full of that. So obviously the sun was not suiting me and I was completely covered up with that. And I didn't know what to do with it. You'll find on the Pandharpur Wari track, every 10-15 minutes, you'll find a medical center. Medical center comes like this, what you see in the pictures. It's an ambulance, it's a small tambu or a tent that they put in, where a lot of paramedics exist, a lot of medicines exist, and a whole lot of Balkaris who have some trauma or other trouble will go there, take a pause, take medicines, and move on. So I also went to one of the tambus next day, and I obviously didn't see any doctor, but I saw one paramedic, and he was sitting in a stainless steel stool, and there was a stainless stool, round stool in front of him. So he told me to sit on it. He says, "Kya ho gaya?" And of course, the conversation all happened in Marathi. So can I speak in Marathi for a minute? Mauli, kai zala? I said, I removed my shirt and I said, this is what has happened. My body is full of these boils. I don't know what to do with it. Then he looked at me, he says, so Surya nahi badat tumhara, theek hai. Turn. So that stool rotates. So I rotated. Then he looked at my back. And what he did was something very unusual. He just pulled on my pajama and gave me a jab. I was shocked. It was unplanned. He never told me what he's going to do. He just gave me a jab. I turned around and said, what the heck you did? He said, I gave you injection. You are not well. I said, what injection? He says, what the heck will you do with that name? You are a bloody illiterate, uneducated Balkari. So, what jab I gave you is immaterial. What is material is you will recover. Get out. That's it. It's over. So my medical treatment was over in those 2 minutes. He just looked at my body, made me turn around, give me a jab and says, get out. I came back to my Wari Dandi group and I was started talking to those Warkaris with me who have been walking for last 30, 40 years. And I said, this is what happened. I don't know what to do with it. I'm full of this. Dandi Pramukh said, Deva var Shraddha Deva. If he says everything will be all right by tomorrow morning, it will be all right by tomorrow morning. Panduranga will take care of it. You will not believe it. By evening, my body was clean. I had no boils. Whether you call it miracle, whether you call it science, whether you call it proper diagnosis and proper treatment, whatever that you may like to call it. What injection he gave me, I still don't know. He gave me some injection, and that was the only medicine I took. And by evening, I was perfectly normal. And these are the kind of things that happen in that Pandharpur Wari. Concept of Mauli is something which I want to spend a minute talking. All of us carry a name. I am Vivek Paranspe. The moment you know my name, you know my caste, you know my religion, you know my social status maybe, you know what kind of a family I may be coming from. The moment they ask you, where do you live? And if I say I live in Mahalakshmi, then you know my social status. You know the kind of house that I may be living in, and so on and so forth. The moment they ask me which company you work for, and you will know more about it. So I am known by all the paraphernalia that goes around me. And I get social status and recognition basis that. And that's the way it works in a normal life. But during those 21 days, you are carrying nothing. The day you enter a Dindi, you are known as Mauli. Mauli in Marathi means mother. So whether you are a man or a woman, you are a child or an old man or an old woman, you are addressed as Maulis. So these pictures of all these people that you see on the screen are Maulis. So we are all Maulis. Your next recognition, if any, is from Mauli from where? Mauli from Mumbai. And that is second recognition to you. You are a Bombay guy, or you are a Pune guy, or you are a Aurangabad guy. You're Mauli from where? Which Dindi? And Dindi Kramank 4 Ratapure. And that's where the introduction ends. That's where the complete picture of you has to be ending. And that's the beauty of this whole stuff. When we talk of diversity and inclusion, one of the reasons why it's an inclusive society, that moving society, is because there is everybody is same. Everybody is a Mauli. And that's something which is so beautiful. And that's something which I learned. And this story will tell you more about it. These are the two women who taught me the concept of Advaita. And I think that is something which all of us need to understand and try to appreciate what's happening here. These are the two women and me. We were only three of us sitting on at a tea stall in the afternoon. I had gone a bit in the front. These two ladies also were walking in the front. And I was sitting at a tea stall and I was having a cup of tea, and these two ladies joined me and they were having a tea. It was an L-shaped bench. I was on one side, these two ladies were on the other side. And there was a 15, 16-year-old boy who was serving tea. And there was no fourth person there. This lady that you see in the front, with the white chunni or whatever that she's wearing, this lady, for whatever reason, I mean, I don't know her, she didn't know me. She just took my hand by force and she put that hand on her heart. And I was shocked. I was surprised because you get it. This is a young woman in her mid-30s or late 30s. And I am a 60-year-old man. And she just pulls up my hand and puts it on her heart. And I'm shocked that I'm trying to wriggle my hand back and I'm trying to take my hand back. And I'm saying, what the heck is happening? And then she laughed at me and she says, "Nahi samajhna, you're not understood still." Says, what is the difference between you and me, Mauli? You are a Mauli, I am a Mauli. Both of us are Maulis, we both are same. And you have not understood it as yet. You're only doing a lip service. It is not yet internalized by you that you and me are same. We are same gender. We are human beings. And at some stage, you and me will be going to the God and we will be merging with the God. Moksha paije na? So this is where we are going to go. So you are still in the period of Dvaita. You are looking at me as a different person. I am looking at you as a different person. Advaitat kadhi enar. When are you going to come to Advaita? And there's something very interesting that happened to us. All of us, I think, intellectually appreciate and understand the concept of Dvaita and Advaita. But have we internalized it? Has it become part of our life? And until it becomes part of our life, there cannot be inclusion. And I think that is, again, a beautiful lesson I learned. And they kind of then got into conversation with me for 4 or 5 minutes. They taught me. Later on in the evening, I again saw them walking on the street in the front, and then they asked me, have you understood now completely? Has it become part of you? I said, yes, and they went away. So in my life, I was supposed to meet them for 5 minutes. I met them for 5 minutes. They taught me a concept and they vanished and I vanished. This kind of many experiences you will get once you start walking in the Wari. Look at this guy. This is a charity with a new meaning. You'll find this man in the front. He is a mochi. He's repairing the footwear of the Warkaris, and he does it free of cost. So those 20 days, he does repairs to your chappals and shoes, inclusive of materials that are required, leather that is required, free of cost. So I was asking him, and he doesn't look like a rich man who has money. So I was asking him, I said, "Yeah, your income for these 20 days is gone. And materials that you're using, a lot of it is from your own pocket." He says, look, out of 365 days, if I spend 15 to 20 days for bhaktas, what is the problem? Balance time I'm earning. So this is the time for me to give. And I'm giving. And I'm giving it for bhaktas, not for any Tom, Dick, and Harry. He also taught me कि दान है योग्य माणसाला दिला पाहिजे. Yogya means all right people should get daan from us, not ayogya people. And all of you guys who are walking here and are going to Pandharpur are Bhakta. So I am doing this work for right people. Again, beautiful learning. So, Yogya Thikhani Dan Dede. Great learning. This guy has impressed me a lot. This guy is a sevekari of our Dindi that I was moving with. So he would get into the truck along with our luggage in the morning at 6 and move to the next stop where the lunch is going to be served, unload the truck, cook the food along with the workers that are hired by the Dindi, serve us all food, pack up, clean up, again move to the next stop. So he was a worker helping. And each Dindi has its own team of 8-10 people who are cooks and sevekaris like this. But this sevekari was with a difference. He was not earning anything. He was doing it as a voluntary work. He was not even walking in the Dindi. He was just working and serving us without remuneration. So I was having a chat with him, and you obviously don't ask anybody name because names are not to be given because or we are known as Maulis. So I asked him, Mauli, where are you from? He says, I'm a Pune Mauli. I said, Mauli, how do you survive? I mean, he says, look, I live with my family. So my family takes care of me. And so I don't need to earn money. But these 15, 20 days, I work for you guys, the Bhaktas. And you Bhaktas give me blessings. And that's my remuneration. And I survive on that basis for balanced year. So this person, and of course, we got into huge conversation, and he talked to me about Seva and Seva Bhav, what is important. These two ladies, another very interesting lesson in management I learned, and that is they are demanding consumers. One of the stops I wanted to have tea, and I'm diabetic, so I wanted to have tea without sugar. And normally tea without sugar is more expensive because that guy has to make specialty tea for it. It doesn't come from the main kadai. And when it's a busy day, they refuse to give you tea without sugar because he doesn't have time to make tea without sugar. So I was requesting, Bhaiya, Marathi mein, of course, tea without sugar. And he was saying, sorry, sir, not possible. Ye milega mauli tumko. And these two are not the only one. This is a group of 7-8 women who were walking together. These two women got into a major fight with that chaiwala. He says, you are a tea stall owner approved by the Sansthan. Anandi Sansthan, yes. Why have they approved you to serve the Warkaris? And this Warkari needs tea without sugar and you are not serving them. So it is unfair, it's illegal. We are going to make a complaint this evening in the third to the fellow who is the Sobdar, and tomorrow morning your recognition will go away and you will be thrown out of this Dindi. Do you want that? And they were shouting, they were firing him. That fellow made quietly tea for me and gave it to, and this is, please don't make any complaint. Just look at it. Great lesson in management and great also lesson in making demands. Know your rights, make demands for it, be fair, be reasonable, but at the same time, fight for your rights. I think that's important part. And that's again a great lesson and great learning. This is the guy, old man, you see this guy. He's wearing this cap like a stuff. You'll sign this. See this fellow, this is his baggage and this is his baggage. And that is all. He's not part of any Dindi. He is a loner, a freelancer. He comes from somewhere, Lonavala, somewhere small village there. And I was chatting with him because I was sitting in one of the places having a sugarcane juice. Garmi tha. So I said, let me have some sugarcane juice. And this guy was sitting there in a corner somewhere at a distance. So I thought this old man, I said, I'm a young man, I'm having sugarcane juice. Why not this man? So I called him, I said, Mauliya, have sugarcane juice with me. And so he had a glass of sugarcane juice. And we got into conversation for 10, 15 minutes. And then I realized he's not part of any Dindi. He's a freelancer. And he has been doing this wari for the last 50 odd years. since he's a young man. And I don't know what's his age now. He also doesn't know his age. So I asked him, I said, where do you eat? Who gives you food? Who gives you? He says, यहाँ पे तो free food बहुत मिलता है. So I keep eating somewhere or other. So Pandurang takes care of my food needs. Pandurang takes care of my thirst needs. Like you have given me this, somebody else now will give me another tea and somebody else will give me something to eat. So Pandurang will take care of me. So as far as I am concerned, you are Pandurang. So you have given me sugarcane juice. Fantastic. Next stop, somebody will give me something. So Ratko, where do you sleep? He says, somewhere on the road. I got dari and I'll just spread it and I'll sleep there. Next day morning, I'll wash myself and just start walking. And I've been doing it for the last 50 odd years. Pandurang has taken care of me all through my life. Pandurang will take care of me now also. This is Bhakti. Purna Deva var Shraddha Deva. And just surrender, that unconditional surrender that we talk of is happening here. There's no plans. There's no organization to support. He's not dependent on anyone. He's a small villager from some Lonavala, Khandala side. He walks and joins the Wari at Pune and goes right up to Bandarpur, comes back with the return Wari and goes to his own village. So he's walked 15-20 days one way, 15-20 days another way. God has taken care of him for this 30-40 days and balanced life. I don't know what he does in his village, whether he stays in family or not, he just walks. And I think to me, this is again a beautiful lesson. Depend on God and He takes care of you. This lady was one of those persons. Again, this is near an ambulance where I had taken the shot. And then this lady was there and he was chatting with me. And we were talking about Samta Bhav. They asked me a very simple question. Mauli, tumi Jnaneshwari Vachali? I said yes. Tumi Gita Vachali? Yes, I read Gita, I read Jnaneshwari. And this woman has never read it because she's an illiterate woman. She has heard about all that from kirtans in her village on a regular basis. So she's better educated than me because she has been taught about it by a kirtankar. So now she says, have you read? I said, yes. So now she says, Samata Buddhi Samadhi, Dusra Adhyay Gitecha, Samajla. Now, I also don't remember now Dusra Adhyay. She tells me Dusra Adhyay. And then she gets into a conversation to me on Samata Buddhi and what will happen to your son if he's sick and what happens to the son of the neighbor if he's sick. And there's a story, that conversation goes on for 5-10 minutes. And then he says, you have not understood Samata Buddhi, go back and read, bloody hell. What the heck are you doing? She explained to me first what it is and said, go back and read. I'll tell you, these are the kind of people you meet and they teach you a lot. This guy, again, was in conversation with me and we were talking about Bhakti Marg and he said, Baba Re, you've not understood what is Bhakti. What the heck are you doing in this bari? You're just walking like a bloody blank ghost. Go back home and read Bhagavad and understand Bhagavad and read it many times. So of course, when I came back, I literally read Bhagavad 2-3 times. And now he says, Bhagavad is the one which will teach you Bhakti Marg. That's what he thinks. But he thinks and he teaches you. So there's a whole lot of spiritual learning that happens on the road. There's another pair that I saw. This modern day Shravan Bal. You'll see this old woman who has no teeth. This is a young man who is maybe in his late 20s. He's carrying this old woman, his Aji, with him. And I was listening to a very interesting conversation between these two fellows. She was wanting to eat pakoras. And this guy was refusing to give him pakoras. He says, no, you are old woman. Pakoras are not good for you. I'm not going to give you pakoras. And she says, you bloody hell, give me pakoras. And the interesting fight between Aji and the son, exactly the way it would have happened when 20 years back when he was a child and he would have fought for pakoras and she would have said no. So that conversation was very interesting. Finally, he gave up and he says, bloody hell, you take pakoras. And she had pakoras and then she would dip it in the tea and eat because she didn't have tea and things of that nature. So I got into very interesting conversation with both of them. Who the heck are you, and since when have you been doing? And that boy, this young man, told me that he's going with for Pandharpur Wari since he was a child. So in the childhood, he went with this Aji. Now he brings Aji with him. So he says tradition has to continue. So at some stage, I will have children, and then I'll take my children, and they will take me later on. So that's how the tradition goes on, and so on and so forth. And so traditions have to go on. Important messages that I learned was we have to continue and live with the traditions, and traditions must be taught from one generation to another generation. Look at these partners of the life, this old man and a woman. I don't know, they would have, I was chatting with them, more than 50 years of marriage. And both of them have been doing Pandharpur Wari since they were children. And they continue to do that even today. Earlier, they did it as maybe neighbors. Now they do it as husband-wife. But they have been doing it more than 50 years. Total loyalty, total commitment, total devotion to each other. And they taught me the importance of loyalty, commitment, and devotion. Says if you can't have that at your home, how can you have it to the God? सब बाद में सीखना, पहले घर पे करो, and then you carry it home. So I'll tell you, huge learning. In fact, these are a few things only I'm telling you, but there are many more that I can keep talking. And in fact, I probably have forgotten, but it's the prominent ones that I remember. I took pictures of them. And if I go for Waris more often, I'll have many more learnings on my way. There's some pictures of my own. This gentleman on the right side, he just on his own decided to be my companion and guide for the 20 days. It was interesting part. This is myself on the very first day, so fresh face to begin with, and he's my colleague in the goggles. He was with me for 2-3 days, and then he dropped out. This somewhere on the way, and looks, and this is that tira, the Vaishnav tira that you have on the forehead. Rakta Chandan tira. This is my returning back from Vari. It's more than 6:30, time to close. And before we close, let's again pray to the Jagat Guru. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kansam Chanu Martamam Devaki Paramanandan Krishnam Vande Jagat Guru. Any questions?
So thank you very much, Vivek ji. I think I just have to say that this is just amazing. I mean, few of the learnings which I could, note down was its interesting history which you shared, very profound and inspirational. Very well. I mean, it teaches us discipline, submission, well-defined organization, shared vision, and institutionalization of the process in the religious procession, which is very, very important. Carrying of the tradition, how it has been carried over years, for long years, not some years. Humility, togetherness, transparency, diversity and inclusion, spiritual connectedness, human oneness, and flawless execution, fun at work, and meaning of seva. These are some of the personal learnings which I could find, and I'm sure all of our participants were equally, involved, and such engaging, presentation. I can just say that so many learnings in one presentations I never had. Always at the end of the presentations, you have 2-3 carry home messages which you want to, but so many learnings. This is just amazing. Though we are already beyond 6:30, but we have some of the questions appearing in the chat box. So I will request my colleague Kiran Yadav ji to unmute and he can ask his question. Kiran ji, are you there? Yes.
सर नमस्कार. तुम्ही एका तासामध्ये आम्हाला ॲक्च्युली पंढरपूरची वारी घडवली. बिकॉज प्रॅक्टिकली व्हॉट you have experienced in 21 days, you have shared with us in a span of 1.5 hours, and I think we are very privileged to have been part of this session. Uh, Sir, unfortunately, the question that I'm asking is from a management orientation. Uh, this whole organization has a whole lot of discipline and systems in place. And also at a village level, there is always a lot of aspirations about becoming a mankari, especially when the palki is passing through the village. And there is this whole system that goes to decide okay, who are going to be the mankaris of the palki at a particular village at a particular time. Now, how does the resolution of those, if there's any, because in this the commitment and passion is so high that everybody wants to have the honor of being a mankari if they can. So, in case of you know uh, disputes, any idea? I mean, I'm sorry that I'm raising a very insignificant point in such a large, learning system. But just I thought that there must be something very spiritual or very systematic that actually resolves this. So I thought maybe we can learn from you.
Honestly, I'm not part of the management, so I cannot tell you exactly how the dispute resolution happens. But based on whatever little conversation I had with my own Dindi Pramukh and Dindi people, I was told that it's by turn and it's a every year feature. So Sarpanch of the village, he's responsible to decide who are going to be the mankaris of that particular year. And you need a bunch of 8, 10 markers in the evening and about 10 odd in the morning. In the evening to carry the palki from Rath to the central Tata, and in the morning from Tar to Rath. So 20 odd people, 30 odd people get covered. So it's not a small group of one person. So 30 odd mankaris do get recognized. And it turns so if this year I will not get the turn, next year I'll get it. The Sarpanch decides it. So it's not something which is coming to you because of the family or a tradition. It comes to you because of decision of the Sarpanch, and everybody in turn gets to do that. So that's my assumption. I mean, I am not the authority on that because I'm not part of the management. They would not be taken.
Thank you, sir.
Then there was another question that what is the importance of this Ringan?
Okay, this Ringan is one of the plays or one of the games that people play. There is no spiritual or religious importance to that Ringan. But as I mentioned to you, playing and having fun on the way is also an important part. And there are a whole lot of activities that keep happening throughout the 21 days within each dinda. And you saw a whole lot of those pictures. Fugri, Jimma, all those Maharashtrian typical village games, they are played and they are played in a very systematic manner and a very scientific manner that happens within each dindi. But you need to have all dindis, the 200 odd dindis also to be involved someday. And so all 200 dindis get involved 4 times during those 20 days. Twice during those gold ringans and twice during the Uber ringan. So it's a play with the purpose. So you have played within your dindi for teamwork. Now you play in this gold ringans and Uber ringan with a purpose of a teamwork between all the 20 odd, 200 odd palkis that are happening, dindis that are with you. And that's the purpose. And everybody does it systematic manner because all these people who are playing there and they're playing in a very organized fashion, they've been trained on a regular basis in the Varkari Shikshan Sanstha. How to play is also taught in that Varkari Shikshan Sanstha, apart from the bhajans and other aspects.
Tasneem had a question. So can Tasneem, if you can unmute.
No, Mr. Rajesh, I did not have a question. I'm complimenting Paranjape sir for such a wonderful, comprehensive presentation. During the journey, I did have questions of children getting lost and even the shoes or slippers getting worn off, but the cobbler and the lost and found also was taken care of.
Oh,
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
thank you.
Thank you.
So there was another small question, which was that if during your journey was there, if there was some huge rain, then for such a large congregation, how it was managed? That was some question. I don't know.
Well, this rains is a very normal thing because you are doing in a monsoon season, and most of the Varkaris who come there, they come after doing the sowing of the seeds in their farms. They join this. So rain is a very normal thing, and each one of the Varkaris would have this plastic cover called Irla. Irla is a plastic cover which you buy on the road. It's on the market in the left side of your Delhi. So you buy that and you wear that on your head, and that's how it's like a protection for you, and you keep walking in the rain or no rain, things keep happening. The schedule that is predetermined has to be met, rain or without rain, and I have gone through at least 3-4 times rains, and like at that time you stand under a tree wearing that irla, some food is given to you, eat that, and that's how things happen.
Rishikesh has something to share. Rishikesh, can you unmute and share?
Yes, sir. Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes, namaskar. So firstly, thank you, Vivek sir, that तुम्ही हा जो lecture घेतला, we couldn't go to the Wari this year or even last year, but the lecture you gave was such an important and such enthusiastic that we felt that we are actually there. And sir, I would like to share that I have been going through Waris from my childhood. So you mentioned one photo where there was a medical store like Vaishnav Charitable Trust. My father, being a doctor, he was there giving the medicines, and he inculcated the habit of going to Wari from such a young age to ourselves, and he even took his parents. And
Fabulous.
येस आणि सर एक सर्वात बेस्ट एक्सपिरियन्स मी वारीचा एक्सपिरियन्स केला तो म्हणजे 2012 ला ज्यावेळेस तुम्ही होता त्यावेळेस आम्ही तिथे गेलेलो अँड वी हॅड टेकन आवर ग्रँड मदर देअर शी वॉज ॲट दॅट एज 60-65 शी वॉज ॲट दॅट एज शी वॉज नॉट एबल टू वॉक ॲट दॅट टाइम बट जशी ती पंढरपूरची जी पालखी समोर आली शी स्टार्टेड रनिंग लाईक एनिथिंग अँड शी जस्ट वेंट and we were shouting that where are you going, you're not able to walk, and she directly went into the like this is the energy that Wari gives you.
Fabulous.
And so experience that, and we have been going through many years, and hope for that I have not given like got the chance to do a full Wari. We were just the travelers for 1 or 2 days. We have slept in tents with the people, slept in the temples also, did everything, but eventually I'll go for the full Wari.
Yeah, you must. That's a phenomenal experience.
Yes.
Vivek sir,
Chayaji.
Thank you.
probably Rishikesh's father is the one who gave you the shot.
No. His father is a doctor. The shot was given to me was by one of the, what you call, a compounder kind of a guy.
Paramedical.
Can I?
But to me, he was a Panduranga. He gave me the shot and I got cured.
Kiranji, can I ask a question?
Haji Puche.
Yeah. My point is that such a lot of learnings and knowledge exists at a very grassroots level in our society.
Yes.
Now, is there any way you have thought of it can be leveraged to improve general quality of education and spread this message of spirituality, seva, and other things in a bigger way? Or is it restricted to this sect only and those who are the followers of Pandharpur Pratha?
No. In fact, this education is spreading all across Maharashtra. In fact, in every village, as I mentioned to you, there are a whole lot of Varkaris who keep doing regular kirtans, regular bharuts, regular programs of this nature, and education keeps spreading across Maharashtra, at least I know of. I can't comment about whole of India, but I'm sure similar thing exists all across India. A lot of education is on an ongoing basis happening. Like right from the childhood, I have experienced kirtans and bhakti part. In north, you will find a lot of this maki chokis and stuff like that happening. So education is an ongoing activity in Indian diaspora. So I think that's a regular activity. And a lot of good literature exists. In fact, today on Pandharpur Wari alone, there are hundreds of books and fabulous videos and other things available in the market. So education is a ongoing activity. It's not restricted to this group.
I've been seeing a lot of messages on the chat box from our past president, Ms. Chaya Saigal. Chaya ji, if you have anything to share or ask question, I mean, you can unmute yourself and share, please.
Thank you, Vivek. It was a delightful evening to sit through this 1.5 hours. And there was so much to learn. You know, one thing that I could take home is that all the lessons, principles, and concepts of management, leadership, entrepreneurship, they somehow fall in place if we follow what the religion teaches us to have unconditional faith, unconditional service, and basically trusting the goodness in fellow human beings. That was my takeaway today. Thank you so much for taking us through this enchanting and enriching session. And I had just one small question, which if you don't mind, I want to ask you. My question was that if you wanted tea without sugar, then how could you take cane sugar juice?
Oh, okay. That's a very good question. I have a sweet tooth. I love sweets. Okay. But sugar and coffee, I will always have without sugar.
Okay.
And that is something which happened to me when I was about 16 years old. And my father became diabetic when I was 16. And he was advised to have tea and coffee without sugar. So I decided to follow what he did. So I also started having tea, coffee without sugar. And so I'm used to now tea, coffee only without sugar. But otherwise, I can eat Shrikhanda, I can eat Basundi. I love sweets.
Actually, she wanted to know the secret for all of us.
That's wonderful, because then we can also decide something like this and we can also enjoy our life even more. So thank you so much once again. It was a lovely session, and I would really like to engage in any more such sessions anywhere else you take. So please do inform me. Thank you so much. Thank you, Karishma. Thank you, Rajesh.
Yes.
I think
it's always nice to work with you, Chaya.
We have taken a lot of time from Vivek ji and from the participants. Thank you very much, Vivek ji, for sharing such a wonderful session. It was such enriching and also engaging for all of us. I take this opportunity to thank our current president, Ms. Kavita Lagade, and past presidents, Inderpal ji, who is a regular participant in all the sessions, Mr. Fernandez, Professor Mani, and Chaya ji for attending this session, and all my colleagues of the EC committee, including Kiran ji, for attending this session. Just to share with you that next Wednesday, we have the session on celebrating, continuing with the series of celebrating Indian managers who made a difference series, and we will be giving a tribute to Mr. Prakash Tandon on 28th July, the Wednesday. And on 30th July, we will have a session on how to live a meaningful life, a direct coaching experience by Ms. Rashmi Sharma, who is a mindfulness and teacher and practitioner. And another very important session on 4th of August, we will have, which is BMA Masterclass, Building a Customer-Centric Organization by Mr. Rohit Deshpande, who is a professor of marketing in Harvard Business School. Since it is in this case, the timing will be slightly different. I'm mentioning because we have to accommodate on the US timing, which is around 9 p.m. We will start for this. Another thing I would like to request people who are not the members of BMA and attending this session, we have in this chat box only, we have a Google form for becoming members. So our request is please fill up this form and become member. There are a whole lot of offerings which keep on coming from BMA on a regular basis. Thank you very much for attending, and thanks for the evening. Good evening and happy weekend.
Thank you. Great session. Thank you.
Thank you. छान झालं.
Thank you.
खूपच छान झालं. And the experiences that you have shared, I think This is all what the society needs. And oneness, uniqueness, and inclusiveness, etc. I think so true. On the ground, you are actually exhibiting that.
Thank you. Chalo, we'll now.
Yes.
Yes.
And Indipalji,
Thank you.
Indipalji, I wanted to also say that in Gurudwaras, they do so much seva.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
Gurudwaras are known for seva, and
Exactly.
you know, yeah,
Exactly.
such selfless seva.
In fact,
Yeah,
all
true,
over
true,
India.
true. All over India, this is it.
All
So,
over India.
Yeah.
only
Fabulous things
point is
happening.
that in spite of all these wonderful things, we are very low on all human development indices and so on. So how can we spread it more and can leverage it for better lives? That was the kind of concern I have. You know, we have fabulous thing. We don't have to depend on the West or large amount of government money to get the things done. But this is how things are happening. Look at the depth of the knowledge. I mean, Advaita, I had to read, several books by, this gentleman who used to live on Modern Road, who's an expert on Advaita. I forget his name. Try and understand, and you learned it in 1 minute from those enlightened women. So this is the kind of stuff we need, so that people don't have to waste so much time and energy and
Exactly.
learn through experiences. It's a very fantastic learning process, I would say.
I know. Hello, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, sir, for,
Thank you.
I hope we see you, somewhere again on the thing.
We should.
We should.
I'm sure Chaya ji and Kavita ji will organize some get-togethers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So now Kavita ji and next year Rajesh ji will organize.
Okay.
No, why not this year again?
This year again, as it opens up, we will have a event where we can all meet in person.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was nice, great evening we had.
Absolutely
Thank you,
fabulous.
Vivek sir.
Thank you so
And
much.
there are many new members also today who are there. I can see Dr. Ketna Mehta and others also. So thank you for being with us. Next coming Wednesday at about 5 o'clock, once again we are coming up with celebrating Indian managers who made a difference. And the first Indian president of Hindustan Levers Limited, that time, we are going to see what are the learnings and how he is relevant in this time also. So do join us at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, 28th of July, 2021. Thank you. And please like the YouTube channel, subscribe, and you can see many of our videos, including Professor Kotler's and many other interesting videos that we have posted on the YouTube channel. So thank you, and let us meet on Wednesday at about 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Yes.
No, we can.
Too good.